Ready? Aim!
There's too many!
Anyone see my mammoth?
Stubby!
Click the right button. Apparently, I don't know what I did.
Hello! Ariakas clicked the right button. He don't know what he did, but he clicked the right button. Welcome back to another week on Tourney Ground. My name is still Mickey. I'm joined this week by two absolute legends. I'm joined by Mikel down here, and when I get his camera sorted because he couldn't get it fixed before the show started, we're also joined by Claranence. I am wearing a garlic bread hoodie, not sponsored. And that is because my heating is off in my house, and one of many problems going wrong with my house the last couple of weeks. So I am freezing cold, having just come back in from the rain as well. So no qualms. Garlic bread is life. Anyway, Mikel, tell us what you've been up to. Aside from the obvious, the big thing we're going to talk about in a minute, what else have you been up to in the last couple of days, weeks, since the patch?
I have cried a lot. I am a crying squid right now. But I mean, I think crying is good for your body, and your eyes, so it's okay. But yeah, I've not been playing a lot in TTS. I'm at least like looking for game because I was training with some people of my club and my region, but we were just playing with each other on TTS because I'm living far away from them. Testing the patch more or less, and I mean, for people like us that we love the game and we have played a lot, I think the patch was almost solved in 1, 2, 3 days, more or less. I'm not saying that I have the truth, the real truth, but yeah, that's been my first. This 2 weeks now from the release. So yeah, that's all I have done in these 2 weeks.
So you've just been crying and trying to solve the patch, which you kind of felt you did in 10 minutes.
Yeah. But I have to admit that I cry really well, and Spanish people told me that. And that's a good skill.
It is a very good skill. So that's Mikel. We'll get on to back to you in a second. Obviously, we'll talk about what the weekend held. But we also have Clarence here. Hey, Clarence, you're on screen now. How about that? There's some brilliant tech for us. Magic. How are you doing, Clarence?
I'm doing great. It's March break at school, so I got a week off to myself to catch up on my marking and do some painting.
Yeah, marking. Yeah, list building. That's what that is.
Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic. And have you played much of Season 2 yet?
I've played a handful of games, mostly practicing with Mother Dragons, a couple of Night's Watch games here and there, a couple of Stark games here and there. But yeah, no, I'm playing a little bit. Most recently, actually, I've been playing a lot of non-standard Song at the shop. We've been playing like Stardust tournaments. We just had a 120-point mega battle, so just trying to break it up from the usual tools format as well. But I definitely played a few patch games too.
That's cool. That's real cool. So we've got lots of things in store today. We've got a lot of things in store, but I actually have to apologise first of all. I have to apologise because I missed something last week. Okay? Now, as you probably know, every week we often get people send us some lovely pictures of some lovely painted stuff. Okay? And this stuff was waiting in the wings, and I do apologise to the creator of these lovely miniatures here, but I said to myself, I'll make sure they come on very first thing. So we've got some Lannister crossbowmen with, if any regulars watching the show will recognise that Kevin stood at the front and centre there. This is a blue and red colour scheme. for Lannisters, painted up by Bran, the bodybuilder, as he's known online, Brannon. And he did actually send me a little meme as well, which I'll show you in a second. But aren't they lovely? Aren't they lovely?
Mhm.
Great
I
bases.
think you missed this because you didn't have the painter master, right, Carlo? Not
I
here.
didn't have the painting master, Carlo. Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
point. Everyone knows that Carlo's painting is surpassed by nobody, so we often need his expertise. But yeah, I have to say, I mean, I realise I know people think that's weird. Why am I showing the back image of that? I think the back actually is one of the best angles because it shows you like the highlighting and the shading that he's got on the back of the fold in the back of the skirt, if you will, which I thought was quite actually really good. So we'll do a quick one here, but I'm not going to ask you for any ratings because this man already knows what he's going to be rated with. And as I said, I would show you this little meme that he did actually send to me when he sent these pictures over. So yes, this is a strong set of 0s out of 10. Well done for that one, Bran. And I'm very sorry that I didn't show those earlier, Brannon. Anyway, on to the main feast of today, which is not the Valerian Crown, because this is rubbish, right? This is complete rubbish. What everybody here wants to talk about is the new CMON article on targeting.
Ooh.
Did anyone read it here?
No. I skimmed it.
That's a long
That was
read.
confusing.
That is a long
That's
read.
a long read.
It is a long read. Now, for most of us, targeting was already, I say resolved, we'd already kind of got to the point with targeting where we kind of said, well, this is what does, this is what doesn't, who cares about the rest? We'll just make it up as we go along, basically, and try and work it out, because it was a mess. The article was pretty good, it was well written, I think Brett did it on behalf of CMON, and long story short, it does cover all the areas that we know it covers. However, there was one small point in there, which is an errata, which means that any order, anything listed in the order trigger is now part of its targeting, which was not previously the case. It hasn't gone a long way of cleaning targeting up, but it is something that I think a lot of newer players are going to enjoy reading and then trying to understand, because ultimately it does clean it up for newer players. The bullet point list that a lot of competitive players basically used to use as a shorthand for explaining targeting were all discussed and all kind of like taken into account. So that side of it is good, but there is that small errata there about orders targeting units if they're listed in the trigger. Now, why is this important? Well, this is important not because I actually think that change is that impactful, really, but specifically, Mikel, I know that you used to use, and I'll quote CMON here, the crutch that was Asher a lot
Yep.
in Season 1. Now she comes with Boisterous Charisma, right? And Boisterous Charisma, you can't be targeted by orders.
Wow. Yep.
This would mean that all orders can no longer target her.
So
basically.
it's like, even martial training, right? Because you target the attacker, or because the vulnerable?
Martial training still only targets the attacker, doesn't target the defender.
But you put the vulnerable on the defender, right?
Yes, but it doesn't target them because the defender of the attack, not the defender in relation to the trigger. I know.
Yeah. Anyway, it's Sasha. I mean, who cares? So we can. She was outshining the rest of the Greyjoy commander, so
yeah.
Oh, Head and Shoulders.
We have to do something to him. Yep.
Head and Shoulders. That's what I used in the shower when I got home. Yeah. The big one there is actually things like specifically things like shield wall, resilience. You know, if anyone's running their Stag Knights or if they're running their Robert Strong. By the way, little aside, I remembered yesterday in a conversation I was having with somebody that Robert Strong even existed in the game. There's an attachment you've probably never seen. yeah, so stuff like that can't target attackers now. So things like Boisterous Charisma does have a small, depending on where we look at it, a small value increase. I don't think it's going to change the game. I'm not expecting to see Boisterous Charisma picked up. No. But it would be funny if we do see a mad level of things like shield wall style orders being used defensively, then aggressively taking Boisterous Charisma to aggressively get through orders like that might be a thing that we see from certain factions. I say factions, but for the neutral players among us who really desperately need some help, they might be looking to run those 2-point Golden Company officers. My God, please don't do that.
I mean, make charisma happen, Simon. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's like
you can test it once and then never do it again. So
yeah, that's just to play neutrals, though. Isn't it?
I think the sculpt is quite good. So
what you're saying there, Mikel, is saying go paint it up for some solid zeros. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Zero wins.
It was like Reaper's last edition, right? So
I know, right? Which we'll get into probably in a minute anyway. One of my favourite models and favourite things to put on the table, and I noticed something about your list builds. So we will dive into the main chalk and cheese of today, which is the Valerian Crown. This is the first Valerian Crown of what is being now known as... I'm going to be very careful here, because this went into it as being called the Four Nations Tournament. However, there may be 5 nations in it now, because am I right in saying that the Greek community were very, very keen on organising an international event?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, they were a surprise, a really nice surprise, and they wanted to join this kind of tournament, like the cycle. And they were very excited, and their community is growing really fast, and they just show up like from nobody expected them at least in here, and they came, and they are amazing guys, and they have joined, and I gave them the Discord, and I think they have joined the Discord, and now they will announce they want to do a GT this year in Greece, so they will give us the info, and really nice surprise.
That's amazing. That's great. Awesome. I mean, pulling together.
I think the game is growing a lot in Europe overall, like a lot comparing these 2 years we have been like after COVID.
I think what it's telling me, and I think this is kind of where Clarence has kind of seen it in Canada, and I know that you were probably going to talk about it in relation to some of the events you've been part of in the last couple of months, Clarence. But a lot of it is not necessarily that newer players are coming, but communities are starting to join the dots. You know, you're starting to get these playing groups and go, oh, we've been playing it for a while. All right, cool, come join us. You know what I mean? And it's becoming that connected community rather than isolated groups. But yeah, I know that, Clarence, you've obviously been to, there was the mini War Games event, wasn't there? Which was that like 2 months ago now? A month and a half ago?
Middle of January, yep.
Yeah, middle of January. So go on, tell you haven't a chance to give us a recap of that. Do you want to just tell us how that went? And again, community being the focus.
Yeah, it went pretty well. To be perfectly honest, it wasn't a lot of new community because we were hoping that some locals from the Welland area would show up. We had one local, and the crowd that came was the kind of regular Toronto area crowd that, you know, just kind of traveled over to Welland to play. We did get some people from Ottawa come, which is a very long drive. It's a good 5-hour drive probably. We almost had some people from Quebec come as well. And everyone who came had a great time. We had 18 players show up on the day, which is still decent. But you know, on your topic, For example, there was supposed to be an event happening in 2 weeks in Kitchener-Waterloo, which is maybe an hour and a half from here. I had no idea there was a community in Kitchener-Waterloo. So that was cool that they were going to run their own event. It got canceled last second. Unfortunately, the organizer had something to do, but I was like, there's a community that plays there too. That's great. And then Sean Emberley just ran an event in Ottawa, and I ran my event last summer in Ottawa. And again, everyone who came was from Quebec or from Toronto. He had, I think, 14 players show up, most of them from the local Ottawa area. So another community that's been developing there as well. So it's great to hear. I think Canada is still in its infancy in terms of getting groups together, but it's encouraging to hear that more and more groups are popping up. And there was just an event in Saskatoon, March Madness as well. I had no idea it was a community in Saskatoon. I know that there's people in Edmonton, but like that's our country's so spread apart. These places are hours away from each other. So it's really encouraging to hear, and hopefully it'll make for a better national event this year and down the road as well.
No, that's awesome, and very much plays into the kind of strengths. I think where Europe is, you kind of said it, that Canada's in its infancy. I think Europe is further down the line, simply because we've had a lot of big European tournaments. We've had certainly stuff in the UK that tried to bring international people together, but that was followed up by the French nationals. But even before all of that, we had the big Spanish event that was running the massive like national league into then national tournaments into then their finals in Spain. That was last year, and well, actually it's 2021 into 2022. So all of that has been building, and I think it's looking promising. I want to say it's looking promising. We're seeing growth in Italy, for example, which was by far, when we consider a lot of these nations, Italy was by far the smallest. And it's not just Italy, right? The teams, the team tournament, the online team tournament that Gamma is running, which we'll talk about later on probably, but they're like talk about, there's loads of Hungarian players that want to join, and I was like, what? Hungary has like a group of community that wants to play online, and this is great. We've already seen the likes of Russian events start, and the Russian community growing. We've seen the Polish community doing what they do. Shout out to Poland. We've seen Sweden running their nationals. We're seeing Norway. We're seeing Iceland. You were seeing Finland. Scandinavia coming out the woodwork. So yeah, it's all looking really positive. Obviously, going back to the Valerian Crown, we couldn't run an event in every single country in Europe and hope to have this massive cycle, because there'd be too many ultimately. But it is looking really, really positive. And I think from my perspective now, I'm looking at my calendar, and when I consider the UK tournaments and when I consider international tournaments, I can look at it now and I can kind of say, like, if I really, really wanted to, I could go to a international or national level event at least once a month for the rest of the year in Europe.
Yeah,
so jealous. So jealous.
I know. And we're talking, the idea of these events is trying to reach that kind of 32 player level, if not more. And I'm not joking when I say that I genuinely think a lot of them will reach that 32 player level event. A lot of them will get to that level. Some of them might only make the 24 or 20 boundary or something like that, but like a lot of them hitting 32, and we saw here with the Valerian Crown hitting 64, which is nuts. And especially given it wasn't just 64 players, there was actually a small waiting list, I think, of 10 players, so it's more like 70 odd players that signed up or wanted to go. But it was 64 players, 1.5 weeks into the patch?
Yeah.
Which is pretty nuts. So, Mikel. An event 1.5 weeks into a patch. 64 players is a lot of people.
It's the best. I mean, you are the patch is just out of the oven, and you don't have. I mean, this patch was good. It was good.
It was.
It was small as well, in my opinion. Maybe it changed the problems of the last version, but I don't think the meta shifted that much, but it's like uncovered and unsolved, I think, because it's just 2 weeks on into the patch. So I think this is the best a tournament can get, because everybody's crazy. The testing, doing some list. Okay, this is good. What about this? What about that? So I think that's really good for a tournament, because it's like the randomness, and you don't know what's the best. What would you do know, or you kind of know, but it's all everything new, and that's hyping the players, right? Because I think that's the biggest hype you can get into a tournament like this one.
Definitely.
And reaching 64 player, which is, I think, a really good number for a GT.
It is. I mean, we spoke about it in relation to LGT last year. 64 is a good number to reach. Getting to 128 as the next kind of like level is very hard to do. So 64 is respectable, and then trying to run it any higher than that is very, very difficult. So yeah, no, that's great. That is absolutely great. So we will dive into what went well, what didn't go so well, perhaps. Yeah, especially for yourself, Mikel. What people drawn to this, that, and the other. But the first thing I'm going to ask, and actually I'm going to go to Claranence first of all. You said earlier that you were trying and testing with dragons. Is that because for you, when you read the patch notes, that dragons stood out to you the most?
One of the things for sure, they break so many mechanics in terms of defense and causing damage that it's a very hard unit to get right. It's easy to make them too powerful. It's easy to make them too weak. And at 7 points, I was really curious, are they too strong again, possibly? It's hard to say. I've only played maybe 4 or 5 games so far. And I do want to play against stronger players as well, who will give me more of a challenge. But they seem pretty good. They seem pretty good at 7 points. Won't lie.
Okay.
They are.
Mikel,
yes, they are.
Especially because now, sorry, I was going to say, now that I'm trying them out more, it's also like, I've never looked at Quaith that closely, and now with dragons, she's very, very strong with dragons. Now that Danny's not worth 2 points when she dies, giving her different options as a command bunker is interesting as well. So it's actually gotten me very excited to try new things with Targaryens.
That's good. That is good. With Targaryens, obviously, an eternal sufferer. Mikel, your feelings on dragons, outside of them being good?
I think they are very good / amazing right now at 7 points, because they do what they did last version, plus they have increased the token value, and the point reduction is huge.
Yeah, point reductions always are.
And activation limit has also been really good for them.
Yeah, so I mean that's actually the biggest thing, isn't it? Is that let's ignore free folk for a minute, because that's a separate issue.
Can we? Do you think we can? Okay,
we can for the moment, anyway. But like the vast majority of the game is not getting to 9 activations, really. Like Greyjoys can get to 10, but it doesn't look very good.
Okay.
You know
do
what
it,
I mean?
Please.
Exactly. So can Lannisters. They can hit 10. And you look at it and go, yeah, but it's not very good. So they're probably not playing at 10. They're probably not playing at 9, because what you need to go up to make a 9 list worth it, you're not gaining enough tools. So you're probably playing an 8. In Lannister, you're probably playing an 8 in Greyjoy now, right? And if you're playing an 8, all of a sudden anything can play at 8. Pretty much in the entire game, outside of neutrals, can play at 8. Neutrals have a hard time reaching there, and Baratheons can a little bit. But, the only other real candidates that play at higher is, I think, Starks can still play at 9, fine.
Yep.
And I think, obviously, Free Folk can play at nearly 11, so which is an issue. Is a completely separate issue. But yeah, I do think that the vast majority of the game is now kind of concatenated into that like 7 and 8 band, and 7 and 8's fine. 7 and 8 gameplay is fine.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's Dragons. Clarance's pick. Mikel, your standout pick. So you saw the patch, you saw the changes and things like that. You've obviously been playing your Greyjoys, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What's been your kind of like go-to thing now? What have you looked at and gone, you know what? I like this now. This is good.
Or in the patch or
In
Greyjoys?
In Greyjoys.
Victarion. No,
Victarion.
no, please. Yes.
Nearly went for the relentless.
Yeah, 3 points.
Oh.
I think the Reapers change. I will pick Reapers change, of course.
Mm-hmm. You've been enjoying them, I notice.
I've been enjoying them. Not making the list around them,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they are now worth 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's
if
fair.
you have 1-2 pillage, I think they are worth 6 points.
Cool. So, this is obviously, we'll dive into this. Obviously, on that topic of Harlow Reapers, you see the Balon list here that I know was you played this the majority of games, right?
Yeah.
Did you actually play
Guess why?
Did you play Euron at all? You did.
Yep, 1 game against Martel, the last round.
Okay. So, running Balon, and that was because you were facing a lot of Baratheons, right? Baratheons and Lannisters.
Lannisters. Yeah. It was like almost 50% between those 2 factions. God.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
It was a pain in the ass. Every Baratheon had Jack and Mel, and almost every Lannister was Kevan Pew Pew, like I call Kevan Machine Gun,
Mm-hmm.
and Tywin and See-You.
Nice.
So yeah, great against Greyjoy.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously the Drowned Men Balon combo. For those people who don't know, one of Balon's cards, which is acceptable sacrifices, is very good on Drowned Men as like a, I take more damage but I can't, and I basically now have Embolden on the Drowned Men. I saw that, although I didn't see you actually play that at the event because I didn't watch you, but I have seen you do that in other times as well, running that kind of thing, and certainly not the only one at the moment, I think, who's trying it out. Was that the main kind of like core of the list, and then using Asher Bowman and the usual?
Yeah, this list was focused on anti-panic.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-panic to counter in. I expected a lot of Lannisters, not that many Baratheons. I was surprised about the entry. I mean, we can check that if you want, but
we'll go over.
I expected a lot of panic made list. So yeah, this list was especially made against panic list, and it was just short of 1 unit because I have only 1 unit of bowmen without anything, and it can go up to 6 if you are in range of Weirwood Tree and acceptable sacrifices. But you cannot get everything now in Greyjoy, so I have to sacrifice that. But it turns out it's quite a really good list.
Okay. And
you have some good punch on them as well.
Mm-hmm. I really like the Balon Fueled by Slaughter. I mean, just as a quick reference, it is quite funny with Balon's Fueled by Slaughter and the Harlow Reapers, because you can legitimately, the enemy can fail a panic test and you can be like, cool, I'll heal like 6.
Yep.
Which is goddamn nuts.
Deal more wounds, heal more from Fueled by Slaughter, and more from it's a really nice combo. You have to do some quick math when you are removing, when they fail panic check, because they have to fail, but it's possible.
That's cool. Now,
And the iron resolve, it's really good on Reapers.
yes, because it's only maxing out 2 unless IP is pretty good. The biggest weakness, of course, is always and will always be, just the armor save on a 5+ is where you're going to take the hit. But that's what you're running Bale on, isn't it? I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's just to counter. I mean, you have to hit something, but with Baron, because I have Baron on that list, you can get hit hard and not fall.
Mm-hmm. And the sustain as well with the 6 dice on the 2 ranks means you still hit back decently and we're taking some damage. So yeah, awesome. Okay then, so we've seen the entry rate here. We saw a lowly 1 neutral player, 2 Targaryens, 2 and 3% respectively. We saw what it'll be 4 free folk players, I believe, across the event, and 4 Martells, and then lots of Greyjoys, Starks, and Night's Watch, about 8 apiece, maybe 9 or 10 even. And then we saw even more Baratheons, and then we saw even more Lannisters.
More Lannisters. I am surprised about Martell and Targaryens.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially Targaryens. It's just where are they?
Mm-hmm.
They were missing.
Neutrals is always very low. It's kind of expected at this
only
point.
One player, and if you check that player, it was the spoon, the wooden spoon. but he's a hero. He's a hero.
He is a hero. He is a mad hero.
He was the best neutral commander. So, I mean, not everyone can say that.
No, they can't. Yeah, I mean,
and free folk. Yeah, I think people shifted from people to Lannister Baratheon here because just they swap. I mean, Lannister free folk, it was from 14 to 20 to 6%. So it's, I don't know what happened to free folk players. It's called outside of last version months, but I mean, free folk are still good, really good.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe here in Spain, people is afraid to test. I mean, we have had a small time to do some game testing, but I think people need to adapt more than any other faction right now.
It's interesting. I mean, Evil Sponge says free folk fatigue as well. Perhaps people are wanting to try out different stuff because free folk didn't really receive many positive changes in the sense of they were mostly nerfs. Mostly, of course, Mag's not the case. I actually think the problem with free folk is that they aren't that interesting to list build with. If you're thinking tournament and good lists, you're probably running a mag list now. A lot of people kind of devolved, and they're all running basically a very same version of the mag list, where you run mag and a giant and 1/1, the 3 animals and some NCUs. Rinse and repeat.
That was the. I think every FIFA had that list or some tweak on them, and I think mag was one of the highest win rate commanders in this tournament.
Which doesn't surprise me, because mag will absolutely eat Baratheons and Lannisters.
Yes, and they are the anti-panic list.
Yeah, definitely. Varamir, also the Varamir 6 skins list, which was always very, very strong, where you just run Varamir. I personally run mag with Varamir, and then you run a bunch of low morale raiders with attachments, and you meme on people with basically no infantry. And I still think that's very good. Varamir is a very strong commander. I think Varamir is probably the strongest commander of Season 2, I'll be honest. I think much stronger than Commander Mag.
Yes, I think, those 10, 11 activation cap is maybe, and the possibility to bring back pets that you can suicide and do their job so good. I think you are right.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I've not been interested in playing it because I played it last patch and I knew it was strong last patch. and my list hasn't changed at all since the last patch. It's the same thing, and I know that that is very strong. So much so that I took it to the Invitational. Right, I teched a list deliberately to face you, Mikel, of all things.
But I failed.
Yeah, you did, which is a shame.
Free folk.
I know. But I teched it deliberately against you, and it was a Varamir list because I just thought, you know what, you haven't got a hope in hell of beating this. Yeah, never got to truly test it. But yeah, it's looking interesting. It's looking interesting. I think the nuts one though, and I do think we do need to talk about this. Targaryen at a 75% win rate, relatively low games played, 12, but 75% is pretty good.
Yep. One of the two Targaryen players was Mark Bell. He's a good friend of mine. And we were discussing about the list, and we end up with the typical Drogo list and Marcellen. And I told him I think Marcellen is going to be way better than Drogo, and I have proved the point that Marcellen is right now, in my opinion, the best Targaryen commander. Maybe not by far, but overall quite ahead of Drogo.
I do think that Drogo and Marcellen are the best two, without discussion. I don't know, Ariakas, if that's what you've been testing out Targs a little bit. Was that kind of the conclusions you'd come to, even though you were testing out dragons with things like Dany and stuff?
I definitely tried Marcellen and dragons, thinking to myself that I'm going to try and keep them alive with supply aid and Illyrio and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking at Mark's list now. It's very, very different. It's only one dragon. I think that's a completely great choice, and he's loading up on the cavalry, and that makes a lot of sense because I had trouble actually keeping the dragon in range of supply aid, but you can probably march up Marcellen near your cavalry and. Sorry, it's only against the one unit aid, the Flademan, my bad. But yeah, keep that healthy with your supply aid, and then the dragon just be a surgical piece to counter strike when you get close.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it looks really solid. Again, I've been mostly focusing on mod just because I want to keep my NCUs free of Dany. I want to take Illyrio and Tycho and Quaithe, and that means I got to take Dany as a commander for one dragon. So I haven't really been doing too much work outside of mod for now.
That's fair enough. Try Marcellen. There you go.
Yeah. There's them. Really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Especially with free freedmen, Endless Horde, but with freedmen. It's not quite as good, but still good.
No. I mean, it's not as oppressive as it was with Riders.
Nowhere near. All right then. So Targs did well overall. Obviously, in terms of finishing places, Miquel did get 6th overall. That's the highest Targ.
No, I have to point this out because he's going to kill me. He was the 5th position because we had a little problem with the stat page because my game was like doubled. But when you are on Top Cut, you cannot edit the score. And we tried to remove the round and put it again, but it didn't work. So at the end, we just now it's correct that we have 6 games, but I had 7 yesterday.
Right.
But
yes.
It's like Victor is the 7th and Presidente is the 8th, and Mark is 5th, and I'm the 6th position.
All right, it's fine then. Not a big deal.
No, I mean, we didn't get anything to be. The 5th or the 6th. So.
And you still had to go. It like when you do top cuts, you still have to win all your games to get up to the top placement. So
yeah,
kind of academic.
That's it.
All right then. So yeah, okay. So Miquel came 5th. Mark came 5th with Targs, which is good. And I will say this as a top cut. This is positive. Now, yes, it is early days in the patch, and when you got early days, you're much more likely to have a wider spread of lists because people haven't solved the game as quickly. That being said, I think a lot of people did find what is good. It's just a case of now refining it to get the really kind of like dangerous stuff. But we see what Lannister Night's Watch, Baratheon, Lannister Greyjoy, so that's 4. Targ Free Folk Martell, that's 7 factions represented in a top 8 cut.
Yep.
That's got to be that's healthy.
That's amazing.
That is
Promising,
actually very good.
promising.
If you'd have said there are 6 factions or 5 factions or even 4 factions in a top 8 cut, you'd be like, yeah, you know what, that's not too bad. Assuming it's not just literally 3 and then like 5 of 1, that would be terrible. But like a good spread of those. But this is, the most common faction only being represented twice is a positive. But it does lead us into the next question, or the next kind of point I should probably add, which is Free Folk at 62%, very strong showing, but again, didn't make that top cut with only just the one player in the top cut. But Lannister, with a huge 61 games played and a nearly 60% win rate, 59% win rate. Kevin alone, 42 games played, a 67% win rate. That's quite high.
This is the Kevin realm. So good.
Predictable maneuvers. Very good card.
But I think that the key part is the shooting possibility with crowns. I think that's what really makes the difference. Not even the cards, which I think they are all amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting with crowns with Peter is like 3 shots per round.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shoot on 3+ with Sundering. And maybe rerolls if you are in short range. That's a real machine gun.
Mm-hmm. It is. Thankfully.
And you can't even really shoot them back either because of supremacy.
No, yeah. On top of that, you get supremacy. You have your always auto-include Pycelle on them, so you are dealing weakened for days. And you can deal tokens with Cinder Flows. If they Cinder Flows your good unit and they can shoot on them without any ability, it's amazing. I mean, he covers everything. I think you can play with Kevin against everyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you will not. Maybe in some cases it's better than other commanders, but 80% of the matchups, I think Kevin is gonna be the choice.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly very good. It's a very good win rate for a single commander to have as well. Across not an insignificant number of games.
42 games. I mean, 11 Kevins play 42 games. It's like all Lannister players played him like four times in 6-7 rounds, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
It is. It's interesting. Adam Marbrand, 7 out of 4. I mean, the numbers are 4 out of 7, I should say. The numbers are very small, but Adam Marbrand still just not pulling the weight that people think that he would do. And Tyrion, oh god, I know that Richard, Clarence, your mate Richard, will be absolutely sad to hear that Tyrion down at a 42% win rate. Oh, so sad. How far he's fallen. Those are the days. I miss Tyrion.
Yeah, I think he's really good, but
he's not winning.
He's not winning, and he's not a meta pick right now.
No.
Kevin's so good, and the bad matchups you have Adam for. You know, if you're playing into Melbomb, etc., then Adam Marbrand has solutions to that.
Or, as it turns out, maybe the secret tech is the High Sparrow.
Yeah, it is. Victor is on the chat, and he pointed out his 100% win rate. He's the only one who brings him. But every game he plays with him, he's more in love with him. And I think High Sparrow is a real good. He can play against everything right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the Embolden on Lannister is not a joke.
No. It's really helpful. Specifically, taking things like from 7 to 6 or 6 to 5 is hugely impactful. It's a big buff.
Yeah. 5-point Halberdiers, raw 5.
Yeah, and Halberdiers with Sundering and Vicious, max attacks.
Nice.
Be careful with that. And people always put Weirwood against Leinster, so you get +2 almost on 3-4 units.
Oh, I hate Weirwoods.
Yeah.
People place them all the time, and it's such a mistake.
I can tell you that most of the tables were double cost pile, double Weirwood. It's
Really?
sad. Yeah. Choice terrain ends up like that if you are playing against most of the table were Leinster Baratheons, so everybody was playing Mail Bombs Leinster, so people just took out Weirwoods. We had like 100 Weirwoods on the tables.
Wow. I've always said it, for those of you who didn't see the terrain video, I do think the double Weirwood, double Court Spell is just a mistake. But if that's what people are going to run, then that's what people are going to run. And the reason I say it's a mistake is I think we should point out the next one that stands out here as being sad, to put it bluntly. Baratheons playing 52 games with a 35% win rate.
Yeah, they got smacked.
They got absolutely... They're just having a sad time.
Yes.
That's just real sad. One True King with a 42% win rate. The rightful heir played 17 games and won 3. This is rightful heir, which, was dominant a month ago. I say dominant, but, people were doing well with him.
Yeah. Quizmen champions of the Stagnerf, maybe?
Yeah. Clarence, I know that you were a Baratheon dabbler for a while. Obviously, you talked about dragons and going to Targaryens. I'm guessing you saw Baratheons and just thought, I'm not interested at the moment.
Well, they got a bunch of nerfs, and Targaryen dragons getting cheaper. It just tends to make you want to try different things. I was just looking over the stats, and it looks like the Stannis side stuff's on the bottom, and Eldon and Loras are on top, which is kind of interesting to note. I don't know. I'm curious what happened. I haven't actually played Baratheons yet, but I still, on paper, think they seem okay. 2+ save knights seem good, but I've been also in Dragonstone, or is it called Dragonstone, the subreddit or sub-faction? Storm's End now, my bad. And definitely everyone's seems to be talking about moving over to Hedge Knights and Blade Men instead of Gems of the Stag. But I don't know, 2+ saves is still 2+ save.
2+ save is still 2+ save. Yeah, I agree. And then just because, we can't not mention it, Mance Raider, 0% win rate, Mance Raider shit. Boo. No, he only played one game.
One game. So
no. Anyway, it looks interesting. The stats definitely look interesting. Night's Watch, some people are saying Night's Watch have been nerfed with the relentless changes. If you've been online, certainly, my opinion, I do not think that. I think Night's Watch are in a very good spot right now. Night's Watch are very good, and they had a very respectable 53% win rate at this event, coming in at 4th. And Targs obviously had a very, very low sample size compared to the other factions. But yeah, Night's Watch are by far still pulling weight in win rate terms. I expect to see them come up in time if people cotton onto them.
Yes. I think people have not yet solved the Night Watch ideal list yet in Spain.
Perhaps not. Yeah, you've seen it online a lot, right?
It's coming home. It's coming home soon.
Yeah. So yeah.
But they reached the final anyway, so
they did. Yes, they did.
I personally don't like the two lists that the Night Watch player bring, but they worked. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Triple Sword Brothers is nuts. I think it's crazy that he wasn't running Corrin in one of his 2 lists. I think it's crazy he wasn't running Vanguard still.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well, but he did well even without those. I will not say the word, really good piece, but yeah, I mean, he reached finals with that.
Mhm.
So
So yeah,
This isn't even his final form.
this isn't even his final form.
imagine if he had a real weapon, right?
I know. So that is actually something I was going to mention today. A brief touch on it, which is not something related to this, which we'll get onto in time, but is related to Night's Watch a little bit. But alas, we'll wait on that one for the moment.
Mhm.
So the event itself, was the event well run for a start? Would you say?
What do you mean? I mean,
So like, did you feel like it was? Do you feel like there was like the event itself from a player perspective on the day? You felt like you knew what was going on, all of that side stuff.
yeah. It was really good. We had a great hotel, like kind of meeting room, and where you do some kind of like don't know, I forgot the name. It was. I mean, you had the. I sent you some on
Pictures?
Facebook. Well,
Yeah.
that's the top 8 pictures.
Mhm.
But I mean, and on the Facebook that I gave you, there are the room and where we set the tables.
Mhm.
We had enough space to put an individual table for everyone, so that's good. We
Mhm.
wanted to do like a French national, and I think that's we played with really good space and everything else. And at the end of the day, people was really excited. We also gave like free coffee, free food, free water. You could go and refill your coffee. We had some like spendable machine with coffee. They bring. We were sponsored by I forgot the name. Sorry, but it was like a restaurant that came up with like small snacks to eat between rounds. We had the room was with air conditioning, so nobody was cold. Everybody could play on shirt if they want, and we have good lights. We could set 2 tables for recording, and we had Wi-Fi. So I think the place was amazing, and yeah, the people just show the appreciation at the end of the tournament.
Well, that's what you want, isn't it? Is you want the venue and you want ultimately the players to enjoy the event, and yeah, get free food, free coffee, and oh yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
And you had free entrance as well, and you didn't want to come.
I know, mate. If I could have done, I would have done, but it's not a good time of year for me at work, unfortunately. If I'd have taken a day off work, I probably would have been killed.
Okay, you were scared that I will beat you on the table and on my revenge.
All right, okay. totally scared. Hang on, where's my Varamir?
Yeah.
Crutch.
Bring it on.
Yeah, no, I'm gutted it didn't get to make it, but yeah, it's a good event. I mean, in comparison, the last time you were on, we were talking about the team tournament, and which was held in your tent outside. This is comparatively a much bigger upgrade. You know, this is really good.
It is. It's a hotel in the middle of Santander, which is an amazing city, and I really recommend you to visit. And yeah, everything was amazing.
That's good. That is awesome. So yeah, do check it out, guys. It's all available on Facebook if you do want to give the guys a follow. I am going to attempt to pronounce this. It is in Spanish, so I may butcher this. Mikel can correct me. Asociación Cultural Ludus Foramontanos?
Foramontanos.
Ludus
Foramontanos, yeah. From Cantabria, Santander.
Okay. Fantastic. I know that's is it Darkman and Tasia's normal group?
Gabi and Victor are the main tournament organizers.
You see them here in the red and white shirts.
Yeah,
And
they have the club. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all lovely as well. I spoke to Victor, obviously in France when I was over in France, and Victor's absolutely lovely.
Yeah, he cried a lot against me in the last match, but it's okay. he's just mad at me. He was always losing against me, but I love Victor. Victor, I love you.
No, it's fantastic. Good to see Marcabel play Presidente there. No, yeah, honestly, fantastic. Oh, look at that food.
Yeah, no, that's the food. Yeah.
Ooh. Amazing.
It was like 10 minutes and nothing was left, so you have to be really fast.
Clarence, are you getting ideas now for next year?
Yeah. You know what? That's part of having a good event, is not just the tables and the mats. I was going to say, I'm impressed that you guys had 32 mats, that look really nice. And, but yeah, having food and drink and coffee, like that's another part of the experience, which is great too. So definitely some ideas on what to do next time for my own events.
It's awesome.
Yep.
It's good to see a lot of people with painted miniatures as well, which I know is not a requirement.
I wanted to point that out that we had an ferocious painting contest. I don't have the winners. The winner was the Perry with the Night Watch player.
Okay.
And it's amazing. I mean, I don't have the photos, but I will try to give you for the next tournament ground if you want. And everything it's like chromatic, and he made like walls, put like fillers, but the fillers are Night Watch runes. I don't know how to explain it if you don't have the photo, but he's well deserved to be the painting winner.
Oh, cool! If you do get some photos of that, Mikel, do share.
Yeah, I will try to get some of them for you.
That would be amazing. It sounds really good. So we'll run very quickly through the guys here. Obviously, front and center, we've got Mikel there with Victor and Marcabel.
Yeah.
Who were 5, 6, and 7, and then Presidente, who you would have seen in the House of Orcs blue shirts. They're from Italy. He rounded out the bottom 8. We then had, let's go for this one here. This is the main man himself, wearing his Valerian Crown.
Yeah.
La Fuente.
He's a little bit shy.
This is the winner of the first Valerian Crown, La Fuente, who is, I believe, the Spanish national champion as well, right? He is, year on year has proven himself to be the best player in Spain. And he's done the same again here at another event. Kevin.
Yep. Kevin. He won with Kevin with Leinster. I think he played all 6 games with Kevin. Yes, he did.
He played the final as well with Kevin.
Yep. 7 games with Kevin.
It was actually quite interesting. So I did actually want to point this out, and this is funny nonetheless, right? So if you actually look at the final standings of the players, La Fuente played against his teammate Perry in the final. Chablu and Mur, both from Le Baratillo, came 3rd and 4th. They didn't play their 7th game against each other. Miquel and Marcabel, Los Primos Hombres. So the top 6 players were all pairs from the same club. There you go.
Yes, you're right. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Notice that.
Goes to show.
Interesting.
Good players mean you tend to get better players in your club, because the people you play against get better as you get better yourself. It makes a big difference. So yeah, really, really good.
Shout out to Le Baratillo players, which they are going to every GT in Europe. They are amazing. They are truly amazing people. If you don't know them, when you meet him, like Titus, Chavalu, Murrue, I think those 3 are, and Cedrel, I don't know if I pronounced the name well. Aldenoer was the another one, and Yeah, Aldenoir. I don't know if I pronounce it well.
Mhm.
It was and Ender Wilfried.
Oh,
yeah,
Ender, Wilfred.
Ender. Yeah, they were amazing. They are amazing, and yeah. And shout out to Murrue, which was the game that I lost. He beat me fair and square. He has improved a lot. I have to say it, because he came to the Spanish national and he didn't end up in a good position, and he didn't play on national friendship because he was one part of the organization. And now he came with Lannister and he got top 4. So congratulations. And Shabalu swapped the faction because he's normally a Targaryen player, but he came with Baratheon and 3rd place. So yeah, great tournament for them.
Yeah, no, that is good. I do like the French guys there. No, obviously quite a few of them from going over to the Nationals last year. They're a great group and great community, and it's great to see them travelling as well, obviously, to events. Carlo says in chat, every GT, that's going to be a lot of travel. There are 7 GTs in the UK this year.
Maybe not every GT, but
no,
probably 1 or 2 of them. Don't take them. Don't underestimate them, because they like to travel a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's real good. It's real good. It's fantastic to see, and I'm really glad the event went really well. And I'm glad that from the top end of the game that there was a good mix. I think that is promising. That makes me happy. All right then. So that is the Valerian Crown. Do we know when the next one in the series of these events is, Mikel?
The next Valyrian? I'm not sure, but I think it's gonna be in France or Italy. France or Italy. I think France.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, it's gonna be France next year.
Okay.
I don't know if they want to replace like they did in the raid of Rey en el Norte, that King in the North. They replaced it this year for Valerian Crown. I don't have any information right now, but I think the Baratheon is going to be the club organizing. So we will have to ask them. Okay.
No, that's fair enough. We'll look out for some information from La Barateo when they can release it. All right then. So France, says Philippe in chat.
France.
Fab.
So France it is.
Cool. So Clarence, we've just spoken loads about European A Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, we've spoken loads about the exciting things that communities are going to do over here and the wealth of events that are now running. And Carlo's not wrong. There are so many events happening in Europe now, which are looking to be good or big or whatever you want to call them. Are you going to make it over to travel to Europe, do you think?
I would love to. Last year I actually bought a ticket to the LGT, and I think the biggest event for Song.
Yeah.
In person. It was. So I've always got my eye out, and if the conditions are right, I would love to come. It's in the middle of the school year, so it's tough.
Yeah.
Obviously, coordinating flights and stuff is tricky as well, and whatnot. But that is the big dog right now. Like in the States, they have Adepticon and LVO, but comparatively, the LGT is the place to be.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'll see if we get you over this year.
I mean, it would be really nice if we saw like American, Canadian, American players coming to Europe, and maybe we could ride America then, or the other way around. I really want to meet American players and play them on the table.
Definitely playing against not just the US, but I mean, as much as I would like to meet Clarence, and I think Clarence is a great guy. I talk to Clarence quite a lot, and he's quite boring sometimes. No, I actually really.
Maybe with 2 beers, Clarence is better for you.
Who I actually really want to meet is Richard, because I've never met Richard properly. Clarence's club mate, and I know that he gives Clarence a run for his money, and I know they've got a fierce rivalry. And I don't talk to Richard enough, so I really want to meet Richard and see what it's like being your rival, basically.
If there's anyone Canadian who would come with me, it'd be Rich.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need to mandate in a date to Europe. There you go. I'm sure the partner will love that.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
But no, fantastic. Honestly, fantastic. All right then. So that was the Valerian Crown, the first part of today's show. Now we have got a second part, but we'll have a brief interlude because I also received some other pictures the last week or so. God, I've given people loads of pictures this week. Maybe I need to just do a no video stream next week, and then people just live without anything. This next set, people will recognise this straight away. You'll know the culprit straight away. Have a look at that.
Okay.
Do you guys recognise this?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's if people don't know, Lucas Aurelius, Luke Hartman has been painting up some more Targaryen stuff. High Elf Targaryen mix match with the kind of callback. In this case, he's gone for a Harakar unit.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
It looks way better than the Harakars do, because that's the problem with the Harakars. The lions look a bit derpy, don't they?
Yeah, and the small.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a new unit. Harakar's Chariot, maybe?
Harakar Chariot.
Yeah, we got leaked unit.
Leaked unit. Oh, that would be amazing.
Wow, yeah.
And we'll get a final shot of the guy on the back with his axe. Look at that. Look at that. Lovely. Absolutely lovely work from Luke coming in as well. Of course, Carlo hates it. I know Carlo doesn't have to tell me that he hates this. He hates it because he hates the crossover. Have you guys been following on with Luke's stuff? What are your opinions of it? Go on.
I mean, visually, it's great. It's cool. I'm an old school fantasy fan, so I love to see the high elves and the white lion kind of motif going on. I'd have no problem playing with it, of course, in person. It just struck me that I wonder if he can't bring this to official CMOD events because it's not half dark sort of.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that might actually be a thing.
I don't care.
If it's not official or the TO allows it, so why not?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Why not?
But he wants to go to nationals or whatever.
Maybe if you show that you have the real hackers, and then you the other one, so no problem. I have bought the product. So.
Hey, Simon, here's your model, but I prefer this one. Sure. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's very difficult. Obviously, for any official tournaments, they might not allow. But hey, for any non-official, non-CMON regulated stuff, I'm sure TOs would not be an issue with it. I own all of the CMON minis, and they're just spray painted green. That's fair, Luke. That's fair. Green's an odd colour to base. I'm sure there's a reason for it, Luke. You'd have to tell me one day why you chose green. Carlo in chat there, giving a strong 0. He's still with us in spirit and in chat. So a strong 0 from Carlo. No other words, nothing extra added. Just a simple 0. So there you go. Some more painted stuff. Aren't I nice to you guys? Right then. The next thing we're going to cover, and this is all Ariakas' work. I'm not going to put any credit into any of this. But basically, Clarence is kind of nuts. Okay? Clarence is kind of nuts, and he decided that what we need to do is create tier lists for all of the different factions in tactics cards. So, we are going to do today, we're only going to do one today. Right?
Oh my god, yeah. I was going to tell you that we can maybe they wake up all night till 12 a.m. and we would not finish the tier list.
We wouldn't.
My God.
So we'll only do one. We'll only do one.
Where this came from, and it might be very quick, is that I think someone was talking about neutrals and why should I play neutrals, and I was trying to tell them, the reason why neutrals are weak is because they only have their pool of units, and if you play Lannisters, I can play Lannister things and neutral things. Neutrals can't do that. Only thing they've got going for them is their base deck, and I think off the cuff I said, but your base deck is okay. It's pretty good. It's it's actually pretty cool. It's got some good cards like issue commands, the base deck, etc. And it got me thinking, like, how good is neutral deck really? And is it better or worse than other decks? And how would I rank all the decks? And it got me thinking about the Targaryen deck and how I like Khal Drogo only because I can throw away his cards, but I actually throw away most of the Targaryen cards. Maybe the deck actually sucks. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting to just see, what cards in the deck are good, which ones do you chuck out, and compare.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll keep it simple, and we will start. Well, we've got a choice, Mikel. We've got a choice.
Okay.
We'll have a bit of a vote, and I will have to decide if anyone has a strong feeling in chat about the final vote here. But we've got Lannister or neutral. Lannister makes sense as being the most populated faction at the Valerian Crown. You've played some Lannister, Mikel. Ariakas has played some Lannister. I've played some Lannister. Everyone's played some Lannister. So we've got Lannisters, or we can go with Clarence's initial idea of doing the neutrals, starting with the worst thing in the game. What would you rather, Mikel?
I will go for neutrals.
Neutrals, okay. Clarence, neutrals?
Neutral sounds good. I think I have an updated link for that. Let me just give you 1 second.
Oh, no worries. If you see an updated one, amazing. Well, we've got that. Ariakas has also sent me some pictures. I'll quickly load up these nice little pictures here that he's got. I don't know what they're of, but it's some Martells, there's some Free Folk, there's some Greyjoys here. Just playing some games.
It was our big 120-point game.
Oh, 120 points. Nice.
Yeah, it was just a cool mega battle. It was actually a lot of fun. I always encourage people to actually try a mega battle for Song, because unlike other systems where it's just a horrible mess, it's actually still very, very tactical on a large scale. It scales up very, very well. We play with one tactics board because I think competing for zones is important. Every player has their own hand, which is really fun. But it's shockingly fun, and the combos that you can do are pretty degenerate. We had Starfall Knights charging with Winter's Coming into an overrun into just madness. So lots of wild things.
You play with teams, like
exactly. We had 3-on-3 teams, and everyone had a good time. Everyone said they would do it again, and hopefully more players come out. But you also want to make it not too large at the same time. But hate to say no to people who want to play big games.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
nice.
I'm not a big fan of the bigger games myself from like a balance and competitive standpoint, but I think if you're going to throw it on to just have a good afternoon with some mates and enjoy the game, I think it's a really good thing that you can test out. And yeah, just run those degenerate combos, because who cares who wins? What you want to see is those Starfall Knights absolutely rampage through like 3 units in one go.
Yeah, there's a lot of laughter for sure.
I want to see that with Mag, man. Give Mag some like ridiculous Mag with Joffrey commander. Joffrey's commander card for the extra 2 dice. Absolutely go, Mag, go. And then great job.
Watch Marshall following Mag around,
Just get Mag with Gregor and get double overruns.
Mate,
all the way around.
It's all about Mag with Gregor, with Great John Umber for Berserker Tactics. And what you do is you kill the first unit with like some help, whatever, taking some wounds from Great John Umber.
Maybe Giants will be really good with Berserker Tactics.
Yeah. Overrun, kill Mag on the second unit, Berserker Tactics, sacrifice his last wounds, and in the middle of an attack, do another attack. Yes, that's what we want. Oh, that's what we want. Anyway.
I guess an updated link. Yep.
Yes. That would be absolutely degeneracy. Okay, so go away, tier lister. So we've got tier maker, and we are just going to stick to the base deck, so it's nice and straightforward. But what we'll do in the chat after the episode, and what we'll do on Facebook, and probably on the Stats Discord as well, is basically we'll be posting up one of these probably every couple of days for the next couple of weeks, basically saying, right guys, this week is Lannister, what do you think about this? Tell us your thoughts. This week, Starks, tell us your thoughts. You know, make your own tier lists, rate them in, and we can review them as well. Get some interaction going over there. So, we're going through alphabetical order. I realise that Mikel's just blocking out the adaptive methods there. It's all right, don't worry. So, we've got 3 categories, good, bad, and situational. Situational's in the middle, good is just good, bad is bad. We've also got C and D tier. We can get rid of those if we want to, but yeah, we'll just get rid of them for now. And let's change good to be green, actually.
Yay!
Good is green. Hey. There you go. Luke's a little bit happier now that there's a green involved. Right then. So, adaptive methods. Now, for reference, guys, we haven't got the full cards here, but we can pull them up if need be. Adaptive methods for people who don't know. Whoops, it wants me to do the neutral deck. Adaptive methods is start of any turn. Replace one condition token on any one unit with any other condition token. So a bit like is it adaptive something or other on units which can do the same thing? And then you've got, if you control letters, you may move one condition token from one unit to any other unit. Adaptive methods. Good, bad, situational.
Maybe we should have like really good or amazing tier.
Amazing
I think
tier.
I think good is too wide, right?
Okay.
If you agree.
You want an amazing tier.
Like amazing tier.
When we get to the Martell deck or the Night's Watch deck, we may need good, great, best cards in the game, that kind of level.
Yeah, S tier, God tier, yeah.
Okay then, so adaptive methods. I'm guessing, Mikel, based on your comment there, that adaptive methods is pretty amazing.
I will. To be amazing, you need to control letters.
Mm-hmm.
But I will put the overall card on good. Yep. For me, it's a good card, good tier.
I mean, I agree for what it's worth. I think that it's always useful being able to change what a token is to what you need it to be it on your own unit to remove a weaken, or on an enemy unit to make a weaken into like a vulnerable before an attack, or a panic token is pretty big with neutrals a lot of the time. Yeah, I think this is just a good card. I don't know what your thoughts are, Clarence.
You can do the trick to swap the token to remove it and then give it to another unit, so you clear all the tokens and you keep one. So it's really flexible, and you need some skill to play it to the fullest power.
That was always the case with adaptive methods with Warcry. You got Warcried, you change the vulnerable to a panic and then give the panic to the enemy. You've not Warcried, the enemy's got a panic. You're a happy neutral. Go on, Clarence, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to put it under situational just because, you don't always have tokens on the field. I always actually found as a neutral, when I played neutrals, it was hard to get tokens onto my opponent because if I'm running Roost Commander, I guess Roost Commander is the only way you can easily get tokens. And then if you have Theon, that's the only other way. So it's not like neutrals are throwing out tokens left, right, and center anyway. So I always found this card tricky to use. Has it been useful as a defensive tool to maybe remove the vulnerable into a weaken or something like that? Yes, but I never felt like, oh, great, I got this card. I'm so happy. It's like, okay, if I've got tokens, if they've got tokens, then it's good. So that's why I would personally put it in the situational category.
Ooh, interesting. It does require tokens to be on the board.
Yeah, I mean, tokens are not everywhere like last version, but they are more valuable. And the trigger, which is start of any turn, I think it turns out amazing.
One of the cool things with this now is because of the Warcry timing, if your opponent declares Warcry, you can play adaptive methods before they've even Warcried, and then they Warcry, they put the token out, and then you go, nope. Straight away.
Take it back.
But if they fail the Warcry, you've just wasted adaptive methods, which is pretty sad.
Yeah.
Cry. Yeah, okay, so adaptive methods, good, sometimes situational, sometimes amazing, but generally speaking, a useful card nonetheless.
Yep.
Issue commands coming in next. Issue commands. I know how I feel on this one. Clarence, you are nodding. Mikel is pointing upwards. Is this going in that blue category of amazing?
It is. It's amazing.
Yes.
It is.
And I guess one of the reasons too that you don't want to necessarily give your commander a expensive unit to be in. You kind of want to sacrifice a cheaper activation like Cutthroats or Stormcrows or something like that to give a better unit like Flayed Men or Bastard Girls that charge or that attack action. But it's a kind of sucker punch, you know. And when something's activated and fought, don't expect it to fight again. And then bam, issue commands. There it is.
Headbutt someone. It's just that moment, isn't it? It's like the fight's dying down, that part of the board's over, and just headbutt, move on, kill that unit.
On top of that, you have that second part, which is just like 1% of the time, but you can bring the charge volley again for Bolton Bastard Girls. So don't sleep with that.
Yeah, that's actually quite common, I think, is people open with the sword play with the Bolton Bastard Girls into getting a kill or doing very well, but then being able to clear the token now that you're on a flank potentially as well, and then you just immediately activate the Bolton Bastard Girls and do the same thing again, and it just starts cleaving through units. It's just a shame that neutrals never really get to kill the first thing, because activation advantage is a thing. Okay then, so that is issue commands. Very strong card. Very, very strong card. Meticulous Planning is up next. Now, this card has quite a lot of text, so bear with me. Meticulous Planning has an end of round trigger. Search your tactics deck for a commander card and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. Or, if you control letters, you get to do exactly the same thing, but at the start of any turn, not at the end of the round. It has to be a commander card. How are we feeling about Meticulous Planning?
I was going to say that I like it with Ramsey. It lets you pull out, what's that card? It's the sacrifice of panic token to heal like 4 wounds.
Cruel Methods.
Cruel Methods, yeah.
So that card can be pretty clutch, so to have it on command is pretty great. I don't know if there's any other commander card where I'm like, ooh, I really, really want this card right now. I need to fetch it. But with Ramsey, it's very strong.
Yeah, Flayed Man has no secrets with Rose.
Yeah. Getting Flayman Has No Secrets is big, being one of the strongest turn-off. You know?
Yeah, or the healing cards. Even Whisper Threats, because you really want Whisper Threats early on.
Yeah, I can see Whisper Threats being quite popular, certainly round 2 and round 3. Whisper Threats
if you can recycle it with the next card, I think it can be... You can place like 4-6 tokens on round 2-3.
Which is very good. My problem is that most of the commander cards you don't care about, and this is where I start to kind of go, and it's arguably commander based, and I do think it's very situational. I think it's good at finding stuff like Cruel Methods, stuff like Flayman Has No Secrets and stuff like that, but like, if you draw those cards anyway, this later on is just an absolute dead card.
Yeah, you're right.
You're running this with Dario or like Vargo does not feel good either, really.
Just because the cards are so weak in general.
Yeah.
I think we could put it on bad.
I think it probably is a bad card. It has some saving grace. I'm almost going to say situational, but I actually think it's probably the worst card in the deck.
I mean, I think it's better than Spoil of Wars, but we will get onto that card.
Okay, you might be right. This might get an upgrade in a little bit to situational.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Planning and Insight. Now, Planning and Insight is a bit of an odd card because it's got one trigger, but it's got a dual purpose. So if you don't know Planning and Insight, it's when any unit is performing a melee attack before rolling dice. You choose one. The attack deals +1 hit, or the defender blocks +1 hit. If you control letters, or if it's your commander's unit that is the attacker or defender, you deal or block +1 hit. And that is apparently, as it was ruled on the forums, that's a duality as well. So if you control the letters and you're the commander's unit, it's +2 hits to that +1, so net +3.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a buff.
That's big. That's big. Here's a question for you. You can choose. This is very, very important on Planning and Insight, and there's a little bit of a segue here. You can choose if the attack deals +1 hit or the defender blocks 1 hit. You can play it on any attack. So, question to the community, and leave a comment in chat if you've ever done it. Have you ever been attacked and played Planning and Insight to give your opponent more hits on your unit? Or have you ever attacked an enemy and given them extra blocks? So
good guy play.
Good
right
guy
there.
plays. Now, this is not entirely insane, right? It is a little bit insane. But if you're against a low morale army running something like Roos with spread fear, you don't want to kill a low health opponent with hits. You actually want to kill them with the panic test, because the panic test would allow spread fear for a greater percentage of damage. So I have contemplated attacking a low health unit with Roos Commander, playing Planning and Insight to give them blocks so I don't kill them with the hits, to then mean I can proc a panic test into spread fear, hopefully killing something else or doing more damage elsewhere. Am I insane? Almost certainly.
Yes.
Yes, you are insane.
I'm insane.
No,
but you
please.
can.
Yes, you can.
Talk about playing the margins. Yeah, that's the most extreme niche case. I would never. Yeah, that's 2 5D for me.
See, Datalink gets it right. Team tournaments. Yeah, if you're playing a duel game and your opponent is Baratheon, say with Final Strike, give your opponent more hits so they do more wounds, so Final Strike does more back.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
There you
that's
go.
legit. I can see that.
No one's ever done that in the history of the game anyway. But
No.
Planning and Insight, I think the grand total here is we are probably saying it's got to be at least a good card, right?
Yes.
Or amazing. I think it's actually one of the cards that can let you potentially, push you're always looking to push more damage. This pushes damage or stay alive. It does both. I didn't know it can block up to 3 or deal 3 hits.
Yeah.
I always played it as maximum 2, so that makes it even more disgusting.
Yeah,
I personally think I would put it on amazing. That's a card I'm looking for. I'm looking
Amazing.
for
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Amazing, because and the possibility to get it back with a surprise strategy makes it. If you use it fast, you can get it back. So it's even more amazing, more value. It scales up really fast.
Definitely. Which does bring us on to surprise strategy, which is the next thing to look at. Start with ready turn, discard this card and one other card to return 1 card from your discard pile to your hand. If you control letters, you only have to discard this card, so you only throw a 1-for-1 rather than a 2-for-1. Very similar to something like Battle Plan. So, surprise strategy. I'm going to straight away say that surprise strategy, I think it's also worth remembering that Courtney Commander has surprise strategy in Baratheons.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney for a long time being one of the better Baratheon cards. I do think this is a good card.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Good card.
Do you think it's amazing?
It has potential, but I think the letters condition. If you don't have letters, discarding one of your cards, it's painful.
Yeah.
Good thing to
It's
spoils
really
reward.
painful. Yeah. I mean, but you can play Spoil of Wars just immediately you draw it, so
Yeah.
it's not that bad, right? And
probably
playing
something-
with one less card or potentially 2 less cards, you want to play cards. This game is about playing cards, and if you are getting rid of those resources that are limited, No, it's not that you are not playing the game correctly, but you are like lowering your gameplay experience, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
Yeah, surprise strategy to cycle back worth the risk, for example, to auto pass panic from Mel bombs and stuff, actually give neutrals one of the more reliable ways to survive Mel. So shockingly, like it can actually just take 0 damage in the early game and then get to grips. But it's definitely good. I would put it above adaptive methods personally.
Okay.
Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah, I do think very good. I'm almost tempted to say amazing. I think the problem is that the spending of the card, isn't it? It's got to be that cost can be quite high, especially given that the neutral deck is supposed to be good. And if you look at your hand and you go, I've got something like Planning and Insight, Issue Command, Surprise Strategy, I don't want to get rid of either of these two cards. Like, I'm not actually gaining a huge amount from that. So yeah. All right then. Next up is Spoils of War. Now, if you've never seen Spoils of War, it's probably because you've literally never seen it go off and do anything. Start of a friendly turn. Attach this card to a friendly cavalry or infantry unit. While attached, each time an enemy in short range is destroyed, you place an order token on it, and the melee attacks gain the buffs. At 1 or more order tokens, you make the defender vulnerable when you attack, and at 2 tokens, you get +1 to hit. I'm going to be super honest and said I've never seen this at 2 tokens do anything.
I did.
All right.
But the game was already over.
Yeah, okay.
If you get two tokens on this, probably you have won the game.
Okay.
Already.
Yeah, the design of this card is just so backwards. Like everything else gets you back into the game. This helps you win more with a faction that has a hard time winning in the first place and could really use a comeback mechanism.
Yeah.
So the design is just completely backwards, especially in the context of the faction. I actually misread the card. I was like, this is a revenge card, right? Oh, it's not a revenge card? It's what's the opposite of revenge? I don't even know.
It's not even a snowball card. Not even a snowball card.
No, because the snowball's not strong enough. It doesn't do anything for you in the meantime. It just says, oh, you're now doing okay. Like, you've now got a bit of momentum. Here's some extra tokens.
And there's a range limit. Every other revenge card, anything dies anywhere, you get a token. This one, you have to be near the thing that dies too, which is even more restrictive.
Short range. Start of friendly turn. Why not any turn? It's terrible. It's terrible. It's probably the worst quest card in the game.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I do agree. It's probably the worst quest card. I think what's so bad about it is that you put it on a unit, and if that unit isn't the one doing the killing, you get nothing.
Right. You are 6.1 inches away. No, you don't get the token. Sorry. Like, okay, I'm a neutral.
I have 4 or 5 units. I'm probably not going to be that close.
No. And with 7 activations, what do you want to do?
Yeah. Oh, that makes me sad. All right then, and we finish off with Worth the Risk. Now we have a nice little one to finish on. So, Worth the Risk, when a friendly unit is performing a morale test, after rolling the dice, that unit may re-roll any dice for the test. Strong. An opposite panic test, an opposite panic token, I should say. A bit like a Fire That Burns Against the Cold. And if that unit is in short range of your commander, it passes the test instead. Very similar to Eddard and Steyer's Vengeance. Not Steyer's Vengeance, sorry. Fen Defiance and Northern Defiance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do we reckon? Good?
Good, really good. Potentially really amazing.
Yeah. Auto passing panic, especially after you roll dice, you can see if you passed or not. Because if you pass, great. Just keep in your pocket for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And morale is one of the neutrals' weaknesses. All their guys are basically morale 7, maybe 6, very few cases 5. So morale's a problem. So to have a card that you can cycle back as well to give you insurance against big tests is really good. I would say bottom end amazing, top end good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing for me is because it's the short range consideration, and neutrals aren't a wide faction. They don't have a lot of activations, and their commander is typically in a slow moving object in infantry. Means that it's too easy for that panic test to be outside of 6 inches. Same kind of problem that Spores of War has got. And morale on neutral units is pretty bad. You know, apart from Flame Men, really, at 6 and Bombastic Girls. And if you're running Golden Company, sure, whatever. But, like, yeah. The other thing that makes the one thing that makes it not amazing for me as well is the trigger, right? The trigger morale test. It's any morale test, which should be really good. So things like Euron with So Discord is a morale test, not a panic. Lannisters with what's it called? Subjugation of Power is a morale test, not a panic.
Yeah.
So you do get rerolls on those, and you can auto pass those, which I think has value. I do think that that's an understated value piece.
Yeah, so it's
better.
Like better than Northern Defiance and Zen Defiance.
Yep.
But they have the plus one you suffer wound if you have destroy ranks. So, but I prefer this one. Yeah.
The killer for this for me, believe it or not, and it sounds really weird, is that it doesn't feel that impactful most of the time when you're not against panic-based lists. I think against in the mid-tier lists, I just feel that this card is still useful. Don't get me wrong; it just drops off a little bit. And this card would be massively better, and I mean hugely better, if neutrals had access to Warcry or something similar. Because at least you'd be at a guarantee token play at the expense of a card.
I mean, would you use that card on if you fail a Warcry if it's
not on round 1 or 2, right? But maybe on round 3 or 4, maybe I might, yeah. If I need to do damage.
Yeah, on a critical charge, you need that vulnerable or you need that panic. I can see that happening. But again, I think 99% of the time you're going to save it. I mean, to your point though, Mickey, what if you never fail panic? Then it kind of just clogs your hands too, right? That's also possible.
Okay.
I mean, if you never fail panic, you never lose.
I want those dice. Please send me some of them.
Yeah, no, I do. I actually think it probably is better than that. I'm going to give it an amazing status. And that's partially because a lot of people like doing panic damage. We saw it with Lannisters doing a lot, Melisandre doing a lot. It's becoming more popular. And there is one last little thing as well that people have forgotten about probably in this long conversation. Yeah, let's bring them up and show you where realistically this card is the best. And that is with your Golden Company War Elephants, who, remember, they need to take a morale test if they're not within a long range of Golden Company infantry. You get to roll that morale test, which means that the elephant might get to do something. I mean, no one's running War Elephants, really. I mean, some people are. But it's a little thing, right? It's the little things that matter.
You can definitely think of more use than I would have. I forgot about the elephant. I just don't even equate it into my list building.
I have to say that I didn't think about the moral test thing as well.
You didn't. Oh, man.
I mean, who plays neutral? Sorry, Tom. But...
I know Tom Tyler in the UK definitely rubbing his head in kind of like desperation, being like, "Oh my God, these guys don't know what they're talking about." I know Tim Whitney as well. Another, there you go, in chat. I've done this on an elephant at the LGT. Good man, Tim Whitney. You've got Tom Tyler at the top end of the neutral scale, and Tim Whitney's at the top end of the painting neutral scale. Yeah, I know Tim loves his elephants as well. Hashtag neutrals are a faction, says Mikel. Shut up.
They are.
They are. They're one of the 9. I'll give you that.
I have played them as well, so I support them.
All right then. So, are we pretty much agreed that there's a lot of cards there? I mean, I think we've been quite favourable. There's a lot of cards there that are pretty good and pretty amazing. However, they probably also have Spoils of War, which could well be the worst card in the game.
No.
Maybe.
No.
Nearly. Right? Nearly one of the worst cards in the game.
I can't think of much worse.
Oof.
Immediately.
I have typed in the chat that Sustain Assault is better than Spoil of War.
There you go. Sustain Assault's pretty bad. So
maybe no, it's better. I was gonna say Warcry on card, but it's better than.
Warcry on cards are pretty bad as well, but
it's better. Still better, yeah.
My immediate thought when you said I don't know I said it's the worst card. My immediate thought is Eric Ironmaker got worse cards than Spoil of War. Maybe.
Eric, the meme, the living meme.
The living meme.
They have to nerf the NCU because
he's too strong.
Problems. There's problems. My God. Yeah,
I'm not sure. I can't think of anything worse than Spoils of War. Oh, I don't know.
No, it's not my head. No. Oh, Sand Diplomacy?
Ooh, Sand Diplomacy.
Weakened Token is better than
one weakened is going to be better than maybe a vulnerable, right?
Yeah, it is 100%. And you can blank influence and at least influence and serious.
Maybe someone's saying
That's
that
true.
Renly 3, one of his newer cards, so Knights of Summer.
Oh yeah, the panic test. Yeah, I agree. The panic test.
Knights of Summer is pretty garbage. That's a pretty bad card.
Yes.
I forgot about that card existing. Holy shit, that's pretty bad.
Broken Resolve.
Broken Resolve. Tywin. We can give -2 morale. Yeah.
That's not that bad.
It's pretty bad. If you consider that the Martell base deck has a better card than that also gives -2 morale.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be Tywin.
Morale's a thing with Lannisters. I don't know. It's not worse than Spoils of War.
Oh, it's not. No, maybe not. I think Spoils of War or Lavish Encampment, not Lavish Encampment, Knights of Summer. Spoils of War is pretty bad. This might well be the worst card in the game because it probably only generates 1 vulnerable token across an entire game, at best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay then. And Meticulous banning is, to be fair, a little bit situational. We could even out and move it into like the bottom situational. You know, you kind of do want it, but yeah.
Yeah, so, you could move that up. Yeah.
Yeah. It evens out a bit. I'd be fair with that. So there we go. There's our tier list for neutrals. And going back to your option for all of the above.
If Rainbow Guard were a card, they would be the worst card in the game.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Castelli Rock Honor Guard was buffed, so not a meme. At least not that meme.
Still pretty meme, not gonna lie.
Yeah, but playable. You can test them.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see with you. Oh my god. I'm still not convinced. But all right then. So there's the neutral deck. Going back to your initial question, Clarence, you'd said to a newer player, you know, the neutral deck's pretty good, right? The neutral deck is pretty fair, and the power comes from the neutral deck, not the units. Going back to your assessment then of the deck, do you think that what you said to that guy was true?
Yeah, I think so. Every time, I mean, I've only played neutrals a handful of times myself, but I'm always like, oh yeah, this card's pretty good. Unleash Commands is pretty good. Planning Insight, pretty good. Worth the Risk, pretty good. Like I don't feel like I've got a lot of dead cards most of the time. So I would say, I mean, we'll take a look, I guess, at the end. I would say their deck is maybe a bit above average, but I don't know. We'll have to really take a look at the other deck and see how many cards fall in the amazing/good category.
That is true. That is definitely true. Mikel, you've played a bit of neutrals, but are you now looking at the deck again with fresh eyes and going, you know what? I am totally picking up this neutral deck and playing some more neutrals.
I think this deck is right now. I think it's solid mid tier.
Okay. They just have nothing else for them.
I think it's better than the Greyjoy deck.
Targs.
Dark. Depends on the situations. I think Targ deck has more potential, but it's kind of difficult to do it.
Do you think it's all just? Do you think the entire? We'll have to rate it at some point. Clearly, do you think the entire Targ deck is just situational then? And like, there's nothing amazing and there's nothing good, but nothing bad.
The potential is so high. You know, the upside and downsides. And I think it depends on how you play. But I think the Ultra deck is better than Greyjoys, Lannisters.
Ooh.
And yeah, probably Targaryen.
Well, okay. Fair. Very fair. Considering we've been talking about the thing that is, you know, bottom rated and has been for a long time on stats. So yeah. Interesting. Very
I think a Star deck is probably same level.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see the Star deck being roughly similar. All right then. So, I will make sure to save/download this. Hey, I'll have that downloaded. That will go up on Facebook and in the Discords, no doubt, in due course. But Ariakas, you've made all of these, right, for different factions?
They're all done. I even made a tier list for the revenge cards. We can say this revenge card is better than that revenge card. And lastly, I did a faction one. So we can say, okay, neutrals are 4th in line or 5th in line or whatever. And then at the end, we can say which decks we think are the strongest.
Oh, wow. Amazing. That's actually amazing. So, we're not doing all that tonight. Don't worry, guys. We've got things to do. Lives to lead. But that's all coming down the pipeline. And that'll be, as I say, mixed on the likes of Facebook and Discord as we go. And I have actually got a bit of a group going, which these guys may or may not already know about. Mikel may have spotted it already, where I am going to be bringing in some players that you know well and been here before. So the likes of Mikel, we've got Claranence, Jacob, Kurt, players like that. And basically we're going to be kind of like trying to come to a group conclusion on a lot of these things, thanks to the work that Ariakas has put in. And then that will be shared with the wider community based on what we think as a bunch of, I would say, decent players from across the world. You know, because Jacob's not very good, is he, Mikel? No.
Cheers, Jacob.
Jacob's great. I'm about to play on him, I think, in a team tournament. So I've got to be nice to Jacob. No, I love Jacob. He's great. But yeah, so that's coming down the pipeline as well, and it got some interesting stuff there. So we'll start wrapping up today's episode, coming up to 2 hours. I know it's a shortish one for Tourney Ground today, but alas, I'm going to have to go and get up and start moving around, otherwise I freeze to death, and I also need to get some food, having not eaten. So, we'll dive into tournaments. Now, I'll go to you first, Mikel. What is your next tournament that you'll be attending and or running? I don't know which one's next.
I wanted to shout out that it's already on StatSpace. The next Spanish GT, it's on Barcelona. Okay. The 13th and 14th of May. So everyone is invited. So, cheers. And Barcelona has a really big airport, and I think it's gonna be easier than Santander.
Oh, definitely.
Especially for foreign people. But yeah, you are all welcome. The picture and the image is amazing. They made it for themselves, and it's gonna be, I think, 64 cup player tournament. Rules are now being discussed, but soon they will give all the info, and I will probably be there if nothing happens. I think, because I live near Barcelona, it's just 1 hour by car.
Okay.
So yeah, everyone who is just thinking or want to come and visit maybe Barcelona or Catalonia, they can, and they want to play some ASOIAF games. So feel free to come and say hi or just play and try to steal the Spanish trophy, which no one did on the
No one's done.
on the
No.
Valerian Crown. No.
Sounds like you need someone Polish or English to come over and steal it for you. Oh,
Maybe.
that's,
Yeah. I want you to come if you can. So.
I will do. Hang on, I've got Roderick here. I'll bring Greyjoys for you, and I'll beat you
could
in a
come.
Greyjoy.
It would be nice to see you with Greyjoy here.
Greyjoy versus Greyjoy final, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
why
see
not?
who's the best.
The dream. If you bring Eric, I will let you go to the final.
If I bring Eric, I'll bring him in a doggy bag. Just give him to you after the game. You have him. I really don't want him.
I have Eric painted, so maybe.
What a waste of paint that was. No, fantastic. So Barcelona Grand Tournament in mid-May, 13th and 14th of May. Fab. Clarence, what about yourself? What's your next kind of thing that you're going towards?
The next big one has to be Canadian Nationals. We got word that there's going to be an official Canadian Nationals held at the Grand Clash in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. And it's the official CMON event. So I'm going down with Rich. We're going to try and get Dan Cabral, who won the Great Canadian Open Summer, to come down as well. I know Jordan's in chat. We're going to try and see if we can get Jordan to come down too. But, very excited and, can't miss getting the chance to be crowned the official Canadian champion.
Oh, that's amazing. So that's the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of April. That's quite soon then. Wow.
Yeah.
It's about a month out. Our event is only on the 21st. This is a big convention-style event like LVO, so it's going to be a 40K AOS event. But our event, I believe, is just on the Friday or the Saturday. It's on the Saturday. Our event's on the Saturday, yeah.
Mm-hmm. 1 day tournament or 2 days?
1 day tournament for now. The Canadian scene is still growing, so we typically get 16-ish players, which can be covered in 1 day. In fact, most of the time, players have asked me, can we make it a 1 day tournament? Because 2 days is tough for the people with families and kids to leave their partners for the weekend. But, I think that as the game gets bigger and bigger and more hype, people will make that sacrifice because people do it all the time for 40K and other games, right? So as long as you're excited enough, you'll figure it out. But we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
No, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool. You have to let us know how it goes, obviously. I'm sure you will. But yeah, so it's a Grand Clash in the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of April, and Clarence will confirm which day is the actual day of the event. It says the 22nd here.
22nd for sure, yeah.
It is right. Cool, fantastic. Brilliant. Obviously, brilliant stuff. So we'll hear from both of those events, hopefully in due course, and maybe he's get some British attendance in Barcelona as well for yours, Mikel. So we'll see how that one pans out. All right then. So I did want to briefly talk about something that Carlo was going to talk about at some point. But it is the first of a series of events happening in the UK, known as the Circuit. It's what Carlo's been working on as a lead up to the Invitational this year. The Invitational will be taking place again this year, trying to invite players from across Europe and across the UK who've won big events and this, that, and the other. Carlo has yet to decide on his on how the Invitational is going to work fully, and he's yet to announce it. But just so you are aware, it is running again. He is looking to run it again. With that in mind,
it's gonna be 16 players again, or he doesn't know yet.
He doesn't know yet, but having talked to him briefly on Friday about it, I think it would be unlikely that it would be more than 24.
4 rounds. Yeah.
He might do 24. He's not sure, but 16 is where he's kind of aiming at. It's very hard to get 32 in the space that we have.
Yeah,
which is the
if you want to play 1 day, 5 rounds, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, just so people are aware that the Invitational is being hosted again. More details on the Invitational fully will be released in time, including how to qualify, including what Carlo's looking for. He's yet to really fully decide, because this year there's so many big events that he ultimately has to decide which ones he wants to include and which ones he doesn't. It's just so you're aware. Okay then. I think the first part of the circuit is we've got Always Winter GT in a couple of weeks, which we'll no doubt tell you about next week, because I think next week is the last Tourney round before it. And we've also got the first circuit one. I'll try and find it here, because I said I'd mention it to him, and I can't find it because there we go. Circuit London in mid-April. That's happening in Wembley, in Ealing Road, Wembley, in mid-April. The first of the 3 circuits. There's one in London, one in Birmingham, and one in Leeds. So, there's also something I want to talk about in terms of online events. The online Welcome to 2023 is now going. It's now progressing. There's been quite a few games played in the first couple of rounds already, and it's going well from what I know, from what Winter is Coming said, Tom said, and the event is progressing. We'll catch up on that with a few more rounds have been played, where we have a much better understanding of how the game is kind of tracking out a lot. We saw a lot of Night's Watch lists, specifically the John 8, with Corin, Donnell, the Ghost and Cold Hounds, the 2 Cav units, and Hunters, so we'll see how that kind of pans out. We've also got coming up, in terms of online stuff, is the TTS Song Worlds Teams event. So this is an online event happening, hosted by Gamma online. Whoop whoop, Canadian represent yet again. And it's a big TTS online event, very similar to what we used to see with the old TSL and things like this, but it's a Teams event for online play, and for teams to come together, basically, around nations. So there's, for example, we've got England and Wales teams. There's a couple of German teams. I think there's a Spanish team, I think. So yeah, Canadian team, a couple of US teams might get formed. So there's a big online event coming in the pipeline there. If you want to get involved, reach out on Discord, reach out on Facebook. We can send the Discord link over and you can get signed up on Gamma's event. Do check it out on the stats site as well. All right then, last but not least, the run-up for this week's tournaments. I'm going to take guesses. Let's see if you guys know. How many events do you think are running this weekend? Clarence, what do you reckon?
I feel like recently it's been about a dozen, so I'm going to go with, let's go with a dozen.
12, okay. Mikel, what are you going to go for?
I'm going to be more optimistic. 15.
Ooh, 15. Love it. Okay, so let's go into it. We've got an event happening in the Poles. Look at them. They're absolutely cracking it back out again. It's Krakow in the Grunwald. I know people love it when I try and pronounce this stuff. Grunwaldzkia in Krakow, Poland. There you go. That's my one for today. An event happening. That's a 30-man event as well. Wow. Event happening in Russia for 24-man. Event happening in Stuttgart, 16-man this weekend. Event happening in Goslar. Another one in Germany. Wow. Double German. Germans represent. The Plastic Throne, the second in the Cryptic Cabin in Bracknell, UK. A small event there. Event happening in Coruna, Spain. An event happening in Gdansk, Poland. Again on the Saturday, 16-man. An event happening in Spain, in Chiclana de la Frontera, which I'm sure Mikel will probably tell us where that is. But a small 10-man event there in Spain. Another event happening in Spain, in Madrid on Saturday as well.
Okay, Spain community, let's go.
Yeah, Spain represent. It's crazy. Who's going to win out? An event happening in Seminole, Florida. The Warforged Tabletop Games starting this weekend as well. Event happening in St. Clara in California. March to War, 16-man event there. Another event in Russia, 16-man event on the Sunday. Badminton Cafe are doing a games day in London, so it's not actually a full tournament. It's like a games day where they record the games and things. It's similar to a tournament, but it's just a games day type event. They've got Battle of the Beach in Myrtle Beach, trying to get 40 players for the South Carolina scene in Myrtle Beach, happening this Sunday as well. We've also got another one in Texas, Carrollton in Texas. Another 16 players there. A March Flayed Man Frey with Dreadfort Dallas. Holy balls, that's hard to say. I'm not going to try and say that any faster. So that's in Texas. And that is so. That's the end of this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. God,
Ooh.
there is a reason this guy's top of the stats. He can do the numbers. So 15 events there.
What do I want?
What do you win? Mate, eternal gratitude. Well done.
Okay. I keep it.
I've got a wooden sword here that I'll give to you at the no. Yeah, it's 15 events happening this weekend, which is amazing. There's some really good community stuff there. Poland, a little bit light on Poland this week. Spain looks like they're stepping up to the plate this weekend. We've also got Russia coming in, and also a lot of events happening in the US as well, which is fantastic to see. Any last words from either of you two?
Roll dice, have fun.
Roll dice, have fun. Love it. Mikel?
Yeah. Let's keep moving the community and let's play this lovely game. Nothing more to say. Play games. Play.
Let's play this lovely game. I like that. That is the truth. So yes, thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this week, and I'll be back next week to talk about the upcoming Scottish GT and probably some more random things that come onto my mind. Thanks a lot, guys. Catch you next week.
Ready? Aim!
There's too many.
Anyone see my mammoth?
Stop me!